Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Inside View with Teddy Panos, the Inside View Live with Teddy Panos. I am your host, Teddy Panos. Excited to be joined this morning by our special guest, Lowell City Councilor and former Mayor John Leahy. Going to bring him in just a quick minute. First, I want to welcome everybody to the show once again and remind you that we have a second special live broadcast this week on Friday at 10 a.m., Friday, December 23rd. You Seinfeld fans know that that is the day that Festivus was celebrated. So we will be joined in studio by fellow insider Mike Bacigalupo and a whole host of special guests. As we air our grievances, we invite you to air your grievances as well through our social media platforms and our website. We'll share that. And we'll even have a Festivus poll in our studios, and we'll maybe engage in some feats of strength. Again, that is Friday at 10 a.m. I want to thank our sponsors for helping make all of our podcasts, live podcasts, possible. Our friends at Washington Savings Bank, keeping my coffee nice and fresh and warm here in my Washington Savings Bank mug that I got when I opened my account last Friday. You can open your accounts there. They specialize in one-on-one service, small businesses, personalized service for everybody in our community, including a great feature that they have, a great service, Second Chance Checking. Check them out on their website, WashingtonSavingsBank.com, and learn more about that. We'll tell you more about it in the coming weeks. Thank you as well to our friends at Hafner's. It kicks, they kick. You've seen the iconic Kicking Mule sign on the gas stations around town. Of course, the Hafner's home heating oil. You know how they saved our friend Danielle McFadden just a couple of weeks ago from a winter and week of cold showers and no heat. They bailed her out quickly and efficiently. So we're excited to have Hafner's and all their energy services. And of course, the Hafner's Car Wash, great last minute Christmas gift. Make somebody a member of their car wash club. And last but certainly not least, thank you to our friends at Reverie 73, a cannabis dispensary located right on Bridge Street in Lowell, 1148 Bridge Street, to be exact, right by the Drake border. They're opening 2 locations in the spring and summer of 2023, one on Essex Avenue in Gloucester, one on Rantoul Street in Beverly. Reverie 73, to listen, explain, inspire, and delight. And hopefully, we'll delight a few of you this morning as we welcome in our special guest, Lowell City Councilor, former Mayor John Leahy. Good morning, Councilor Leahy. How are you, sir? And welcome to the Inside View.
I'm great. Thank you.
You're busy.
I got my
today.
coffee from Danielle McFadden from the Chamber.
She makes a hell of a
my
coffee.
sponsor today.
Yeah,
yes.
you didn't get the fancy Washington Savings mug though, did you?
No, but I like this. This is nice.
There you go. All right, excellent. How are things?
Good. Everything's good.
Yeah.
Got some Christmas shopping done yesterday in the city. Went to a few of the local stores, gift certificates. Where else did I go? Cheesemongers, the candy store, the Little Delights.
So you
flip flop everywhere.
You preach shop local and you actually practice it. And in downtown as well.
Yeah.
I like it.
Unique gifts, you know.
You didn't give away anything like this special that you got for the missus or anything.
No, not yet.
All right, let's not go too far into that. I'll expect mine under the Christmas tree on Christmas morning.
Well, I actually was in the Athenian. I got a nice gift certificate there.
Hold on, where is that? There we go.
Yeah, ask your sister. I was in there.
Yeah, I actually understand. Councilor Janess came in and bought gift certificates to, I think, 10 different restaurants for his 10 colleagues and distributed them kind of at random.
Yeah, I went to Lala Books and I went to the Athenian Corner.
There we go. Let's
and that was very
belt.
nice of Councilor Janess. So.
Yeah. You guys had a quick meeting last night.
Yeah.
1 hour, probably the shortest in this term, right?
Yeah.
Even shorter than election night, which is saying something.
Yeah.
Is that kind of have the number of issues that need to be addressed? Have those kind of started to wane down with all the flurry of activity between January and November? Or is this kind of like everybody's like, all right, it's the holidays. Let's not overburden the staff and everything.
You have 5 new councils. You have 11 councils, 5 new ones. So a lot of the, issues resurface, and not necessarily a bad thing because, we need to remind everybody of what's important, what our priorities are, and when they don't get done, we bring them up again. So you're going to go through that stage where all the new councils bring up all the issues. I may have heard it 30 times, but to them, it's the first time bringing it up. So it's a good thing.
Yeah. You've been a little quiet during this term. Is that because you figure, you've had this is your 5th term, right?
Yeah, I think as you mature, you get a lot of the work done inside versus waiting to put a motion on, giving your speech, waiting for the return on the motion. It works a little faster the more you mature at this. I just make my phone calls, call back again. Why wasn't this done? So
what are your thoughts on the system? You knew it had to change. I remember having these discussions with you, but you thought that it worked very well the way it did. With the 9 at-large councils. You've had about a year now to work in it. What are the pros? What are the cons? Has anything pleasantly surprised you about the system?
Well, it does take a lot off your plate. I am concerned with all city issues, but I don't necessarily have to really worry about Pawtuckaville, Councilor Rourke, he can handle that. I don't have to worry about Centerville. I don't have to worry about South Lowell. Do you get a little annoyed maybe? I don't know if annoyed's the right word, but somebody puts a motion on in your district. It's like, well, could you give me a call and tell me about what's going on and we could work together on this because I'm trying to do my job in my district. I'm a district council. And if an issue comes up, you should let me know about it. And I would do the same for you.
You know what I haven't seen that I thought I would see, and I thought it would be reminiscent of like state representatives or the U.S. Congress, that you'd have some, call it horse trading. Like you would have a pet issue that was close on whether it would have majority support, and you really needed a counselor, so you would support something that they wanted that maybe you were hesitant on, but you'd kind of do a little horse trading to get something for your neighborhood. I don't think I've seen an instance of that yet. I
don't think the money is there like you might have on a national level or even the statewide. So, if our issues, are keeping the city streets clean, keeping the roads open, some residents' concerns. So there's really not a lot of pressure to, work with other councils to make sure it gets done, because when you put the motion on or you make a call, you expect it to get done anyways. So
we've gone past the November election, and now attention is kind of turning to the next one, which for the Lowell City Council and School Committee is in the odd numbered years, 2023. Some of the candidates have already even started holding fundraisers. Are you, what are your plans? There's been a lot of speculation about you. You did 10 years on the school committee. This is the completion of your 10th year coming up on the city council. Have you thought about calling it a career? Or
we're trying to decide. I mean, I probably got one, maybe another 2 elections in me, but I do believe, and I did this from the beginning, and that, this isn't a seat, and nothing against anybody that stayed there a long time, but these seats aren't for one person. You should go in, do what you can, contribute, and then let someone else have the seat. So I don't look at it as a lifetime appointment, say. So I did 10 years on the school committee, but I knew it was time to leave. I just knew at one point, I'm tired of this. I'm not. I don't feel effective anymore. I've tried to do what I can.
Is tired the right word, or fed up? Which is more
probably
accurate?
Both. But I mean, you sit in these meetings and we've talked about this, but this is the 3rd time we're going around on this. I thought we solved this issue. I thought we were going to work towards making it better, and here we are again. I haven't quite hit that on the council yet. It's still exciting. There's still a lot to do. The people, the neighbors, the citizens, it's exciting work, and you do hate to give it up, but like I said, let somebody else have a shot. So we're making a decision. I probably will run this term. We haven't said we're not going to run. So
when you say we,
your family,
it's a family decision in many ways.
I mean,
right?
you give up time. Sure.
There's one issue that has, I don't want to say bothered me, but it's, as far as I know, unresolved. And we talked a little bit about this before coming on air, and that is the succession plan. The way I understand it now, let's say somebody leaves in the middle of a term and nobody has, and we don't have any indication that somebody is. But if somebody does, whoever the runner-up was in the general election is going to automatically step up. That is right. That's correct. All right. We're now starting to get into the re-elections of these first-time district councilors. And there's a very good chance that my thought is some of them are going to run unopposed. Why?
Yeah, and
I look at like a Corey Robinson. Right. I look at, Dan Rourke. I kind of look at you, and after you vanquished 2 incumbent councilors, does somebody really want to go into the effort of a campaign? That said, let's say one of these folks runs unopposed, wins re-election, and then life happens. Whatever the reason, they have to move, job transfer, whatever the case may be. Who succeeds a district councilor who ran unopposed? Has that been discussed?
I don't think we really resolved that. And now we've had such a big turnover in the law department. Where does when is it going to come up again for review?
So is this a motion that we may see a councilor, maybe see Councilor John Leahy file?
I mean, actually, you're right.
The next term.
Right, and we have to resolve what we're going to do with the mayor. We did put it on the ballot. I think a few people did not understand the difference between a strong mayor and the ceremonial mayor. So the results of that may be skewed. But, I don't know. I on one hand, I don't want to see somebody who I guess is popular in the public's eye become mayor for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 terms. It's an honor to do this, and you should give everybody the opportunity. So I do like the way it is now because it's ceremonial. Let the council decide, but we'll have to see where that goes. I mean, it's a great honor. It's fun, but it takes up a lot of time. And I had a very different mayoral run because COVID and everything got shut down 3 months into it.
You kind of got screwed in your 2-year term. Well, let's be honest.
I know, but the way I look at it too is I had an opportunity to do things that someone else will, that a lot of, no one else will have the opportunities that I had. I mean, I worked a lot with Danielle doing the Takeout Thursdays and the DPD. We did a lot of fun things. We had a lot of Zoom meetings with nonprofits. We were really engaged with making sure people got fed, making sure people got medicines, making people getting their their shots if they wanted them. So it was a very unique term. And in one hand, I'm fortunate because nobody will experience that again, right? Unless we have another pandemic. But it comes up. It came up 100 years ago. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Hope you and I likely won't be around for the next one.
And where I run my own business, it helped in that respect too. I wasn't out every single night. I was able to run my business, be with the family, and take care of things. So it worked out.
You mentioned COVID, and one of the issues last night kind of spun off from COVID that was discussed at that short city council meeting. By the way, if you didn't watch last night's city council meeting, we're going to discuss it here in the next 15, 20 minutes or so with Councilor Leahy, but there is a full recap from the Lowell Citizen, Ryan Gilday, one of our insiders here at Inside Lowell. He's done a pretty good recap, complete with photos of Councilor Yem's outfit last night. His suit, by far the best dressed councilor last night. No disrespect to
New
you,
Year's Eve,
Councilor Leahy, but he looked sharp, and there's a full photo on there as well. Check it out, InsideLowell.com, the city council recap by Ryan Gilday, the AKA the Lowell Citizen. But he talked about the ARPA, two new motions to form two new ARPA positions, an administrator and then somebody who actually doles out the money.
Sure, yeah.
Which I thought was decided. Didn't you already hire somebody, put somebody in that position? Or
We haven't hired anybody yet. So.
Isn't there a guy who was put in charge of the ARPA, or was that a different ARPA
the speaker
position?
last night, I'm drawing a blank right now, but yeah, he's helping us with that.
Okay. Wouldn't it just make sense to extend his term, or no?
Well, apparently the duties are all different, so that's why we had these two positions come up.
Okay. So on the two positions, the first one there was a vote. It was 10-1. Councilor Gittier was the only one who voted against it. He cited the starting salary of it, saying it's more than many other administrative heads. As the Lowell Citizen put in the recap, Councilor Rourke kind of pushed back on that, saying, well, yeah, who wants to leave their full-time job to go take a position that's going to end in a couple of years? Right. The second motion was a 9-2 vote. You joined Councilor Gittier as being the only other no vote. Ryan Gilday says you never gave a reason at the meeting last night why you voted no on the second one.
Yeah.
Why did you vote no on the second one?
I agree with what Councilor Gittier is getting at, and that's been an issue for a long time. This manager and his team are working on that to address the salaries, and how do we retain people? How do we get good people to come and work in the city? And you have to offer a competitive wage. So Councilor Gittier on the first one made a good point. We have people that have been here, could be 2 years, could be 10 years, and they don't make that. So the next position was at even a higher rate. So I joined Councilor Gittier on that. And I understand. I don't think people are going to leave their job to come over to do this unless they're just looking for a change. And it is temporary. And I get all that. But there are people that really put their heart and soul into their job, and they don't make a living wage. I mean, that's really what the debate is today. What is a living wage, right? I mean,
in Massachusetts, a lot more than most states.
Well, but you could say, some people say, a single parent can't even make it on 80 grand. And I think 80 grand's pretty good wage. But yeah, when you take out everything you have to pay for, it's not a lot of money.
So your vote wasn't against the creation of that position. It was simply the salary in relation to
I mean, we have to, it's got to be a level playing field, I guess,
Can I ask a question from a taxpayer perspective here? Why does a position need to be created for that? You have a CFO, he has a team. You have a city manager, he has a team. You have a treasurer, you have an auditor. Right. Isn't there somebody who can already roll that in as part of their existing salary?
Well, that was part of Councilor Gitchier's point too, So I don't know. On one hand, I've got to trust that they're doing their job. That's why we put the manager in charge, and he's running his team. But, occasionally we can say we don't agree with it. So that no vote just says, look, I think maybe if we had looked at it, we shouldn't have just taken the easy route and said, this is what we need to do, bing, bing, bing. We could have put a few more detail, a few more whatever, I have someone else do that work over the next couple of years instead of paying somebody separately and put that money to a different use. So that's all. I mean, sometimes you really don't have to explain either. Your silence is the protest. So, and that's the way I've always been.
It's 10:18 a.m. on this Wednesday morning, December 21st. If you are watching this podcast live, by the way, happy birthday to everybody born on this day, especially my father. My father turns 89
nice.
Today. So he's probably never going to watch this, but somebody will, and know that it's his birthday and wish him a happy birthday today. But want to remind you that you're watching the Inside View Live with Teddy Panos and Lowell City Councilor John Leahy. Today's broadcast brought to you in part by our sponsors, Washington Savings Bank. I will say that yesterday, when I interviewed Congresswoman Trahan, I drank water out of the coffee mug. Today I used it for actually what it's really for, coffee.
Yeah,
and why does coffee taste better out of a coffee mug?
I don't know. Coffee always tastes better when someone else makes it too.
That is true. And yeah, that is definitely true. And Lord knows I don't know how to operate a coffee making machine. But thank you to the Washington Savings Bank for their gifts to me when I opened my small business account there. And they've got all sorts of products and services ideal for the community they serve in Lowell, including second chance checking, which you'll want to look into if, opening a checking account has proven to be a challenge for you based on your financial situation. Go talk to them over there at Washington Savings Bank. One-on-one service.
And not to interrupt, but I did do the project with Juice on Builders when they did the front entrance of Washington Bank. So that's my polyurethane on the woodwork there.
I should have paid attention. I'll pay attention next time I go in to do a deposit. Thank you as well to our friends at Hafner's. It kicks, they kick tail. I threw that in. That's not their logo. But, if you got an emergency service with your home heating oil, not only will they keep your tank full, you need to notice when it's running out, Danielle, but they will show up at a really fast service. And then if you're having problems with your home heating system, they're expert at that as well. Great service, reasonable prices. And of course, their gas stations with the Kicking Mule sign all throughout the Mill City, and their car washes as well. Hint, hint, great last-minute Christmas gift for somebody. Sign them up to be part of the car wash club, and they can save a ton of money and have the cleanest car on the roads this winter. And thank you as well to our friends at Reverie 73, Cannabis Dispensary, located on Bridge Street in Lowell, 1148 Bridge Street, to be exact, near the Drake town line, right across the street from that Market Basket Plaza. I think store number 2 is what they call that one out there on Bridge Street, right?
Might be, yeah.
I believe it's store number 2. Anyway, Reverie 73 is opening up store number 2 for them in Gloucester in the spring and summer of 2023, along with store number 3 out in Beverly. I'm not sure which one will be 2 and which one will be 3, but they're opening, they're expanding. Reverie 73, to listen, explain, inspire, and delight. Back with Lowell City Councilor John Leahy. See, that's my commercial break here in the podcast world. I have to talk through it instead of being able to go stretch out or whatnot. But there was another a report last night, and I'll read it from as Ryan Gilday wrote it in the Lowell Citizen. A report on how to keep crackpot speakers from hijacking city council meetings. It was politely worded. Ryan says his report on what options may be available to increase the requirements to have a petition to address the council, i.e., minimum number of signatures on a petition or other options. This was spurned by a lady who's given a couple of speeches now, and the most recent one really veered off topic and got quite offensive to some people. It's that national debate about what is free speech and what's allowed. Right. However, the council does have rules that if you're going to speak, you have to stay on the issue at hand. Can that just be more strictly enforced, or do you believe the council needs to kind of look at something like creating a minimum number of signatures to address the council, or having a draft available, and if you veer off, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the mayor, as the point person, has to keep people on point on the subject. Again, free speech, you're a citizen of Lowell, you should be able to come down, petition to speak. But yes, you can't be offensive, and you can't go way off topic and insult, hundreds of people. So I don't know. I think we should take a look at it for sure, and we'll see what they come up with. But we really can't restrict people from coming down to speak. I mean, everybody has their own ideas. They have their own subject. it's, that's what we're there for.
And the offensive thing starts to get tricky because, what may be offensive to you isn't to another counselor or to me or the speaker or whatnot. So that gets kind of tricky in who judges that. You can probably throw profanity and certain things else in there that are inappropriate, right? But it does get really tricky. And it seems like this is just something, to me, this is something the mayor now and mayors going forward are just going to have to really kind of learn how to tackle. And once it starts veering off topic, you have to
stop it. I always gave people some leeway. I let them speak. I didn't adhere to the exact 5-minute rule, if you had something to finish up. But you're right. And if a counselor says something and somebody's rebutting or speaking about it and they say, well, Counselor so-and-so said this, well, you did. You have to take responsibility for your own actions and what you say. That's not offensive. That's not really getting personal. That's not a personal attack if you come in and you repeat what I said. So, there's a line there. There's a fine line, and it's up to the mayor to pay attention and decide if it's getting too personal or whatever, if they're going off track.
All right. Lastly, before we let you go here from your sentence in our studios, we talked before sitting down about city and schools and maintenance. This is something that has been a focus of yours from your days on the school committee. It continues to be during your council time. It appeared that there was some kind of, come to Jesus moment. The two departments came together, the city side, the school side, and determined how, it was the number $15 million?
$15 million, there was a motion that we put up to $15 million.
To fix the heating systems.
Yeah, in cooperation and partnership with the city side. So we were hopeful that we had a potential of $30 million to put towards the heating issues. And the biggest thing is the controls. So you can put in the best boilers, fix all the flappers and whatever, but if the controls, the thermostats aren't working, it doesn't do you any good. And this has been an ongoing issue since I've been involved, and I really thought we were making some headway. And then it got derailed after I left as mayor. There was a motion or motions put in saying that we should slow down on it and see where we're going. And it turned into, at the last subcommittee meeting, that we had, I can't remember if they said 300,000 or 600,000, but it went from millions to hundreds of thousands. And it went to, we don't know if we're going to put that money into modulars or the heating system. So it was very disappointing. There was a directive from the school committee to partner with the cities and get this done. And I understand that, the cities own the building. We should take care of our own buildings. But every once in a while, we have to contribute and make sure that it's the kids, the kids need a comfortable environment to work in, and so don't the staff and teachers. So we've got to get this problem taken care of. And this is the time to do it. We were going to take a small portion of the ESSA money, some money of the ARPA. Combined, we had a significant amount of money to do this, and it's fallen apart again.
Right. To clarify that for a second, you said that there was some agreement from when you were mayor, $15 million was going to come from the schools.
A motion.
And it was agreed upon by the council and school committee.
7-0.
Now we have new council, new school committee. Yeah. The number has changed. Who changed their thought? Did the city go back on its commitment? Did the school committee go back on its?
I think it was partly because of the new school committee came in and a motion was passed to slow it down. And then it's administrative. The administration decided that, we might use the money somewhere else instead of what you voted for. And that's where the administration has to say, hey, the school committee is my boss. I work for them. That's what they don't realize.
Well, that's
the same on the city side. The manager realizes that he works for the 11 of us. And when we make a directive, we say we want this done. We're not really telling them, we're not trying to micromanage, but we're saying this is a priority and we want this solved.
Okay, but that's what I want to hone in on because it's important. Did this school committee actually have a vote to change that amount or where that money would go to or come from? Or is this something the administration is recommending and the school, and it's in conflict with what the school committee voted on?
There was another motion to slow it down. I don't know the exact words. I can't remember the exact words. But it's my opinion that the administration asked somebody to put a motion on to slow it down. And then again, we're all so busy, it slips through the cracks. And next thing you know, we're not putting any money towards it. And all this extra money has to go to the kids, and it can't go to raises, and it can't go to hiring, and it has to go to what's going to influence in the classroom. And it doesn't mean that you need a new book or new smartboard. The heat is very important for a learning environment, and that needs to be resolved.
But just to be clear, there's no case here where the school committee said we want this to happen, and the administration, the superintendent or the administration saying no, we're not spending it there. Because that's a real issue.
Well, again, not in so many words, but yes, that's what happened, I believe.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't a directive of, hey, we're not doing it, but it's not like that doesn't happen either.
Could the city have done more in that regard in terms of using ARPA money or other funds?
When Manager Donahue was there and we had, schools shut down during COVID, there really was a huge effort to make sure that the windows, at least one, and I know it sounds funny when people hear this, but when you say to make sure that one window in each classroom works, we have 28, 29 buildings and thousands of windows. So yes, we were way behind. So we got windows to be working. We got air ventilation to circulate. We got air purifiers. A lot of work was done, but it was so badly needed that it's hard to really see the results, but they got a lot of work done. And now we just have to continue this and get, we've got the city side is really helping out again with the MSBA loans, getting the roofs and boilers repaired. That's a lot of money. And that continues. So the city, to their credit, has really put in a lot of work. Mark Byrne came back as interim for us. He did a ton of work. Christine... I'm drawing a blank right now.
McCall,
No. Well, Christine McCall did a ton of work too. But the previous DPW, Christine Clancy did a lot of work.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah. But sometimes that's what happens in the schools when you see a dirty wall that needs to be painted, you ask, what are you doing? And they say, well, we put $1 million into the heating system. You don't see it. But we did all this work. So we just have to continue making sure the windows, the doors work, the place looks good and clean, and make sure that heating system is working properly,
Right. And there was one motion last night about Councilor Noon asked for a report. Councilor Noon, Janess, and Gitcher asked for a report on parking pass holders and group rates for the garages. I see this whole parking thing. There's going to obviously be some changes in parking policy in the city. What those entail are open for debate. But it's an interesting discussion for me because it really affects mostly Councilor Janess's district.
Sure.
Yet there's going to be 11 of you who are going to have to make this policy. What are your thoughts on on any number of issues? How do we get people to use the garages more? How do you do changes to maybe street policy, meter policy to encourage that, et cetera?
You've got to hold everybody accountable. So, the only thing I can really relate it to is when I go into Boston, you park in a garage because most of the time you can't find on-street parking. And, whatever, you might pay $25, $30, right? And it's the way it is. But I suppose if I went in every day and I'm spending $150 a week, it's a bigger deal to me. In Lowell, we have to hold people accountable. And I get it. When I go into a garage and I'm walking down the stairwell and they're dirty or they smell, it's not right. So we have to keep them clean. someone breaks a window, it's got to be changed within a day or two. The hallways have to be washed down and refreshed every so many years, and then people won't mind parking there. And then come up with a structure. Maybe they have tried this, maybe they haven't. But when my kids were going to Middlesex, put the students up on the top floors, give them a little cheaper rate and let them park upstairs. If you work downtown, park on the top floor and keep the bottom floors open. And again, we had police cars, we had fire cars in there, and maybe they were taking up prime spots, right? I mean, that argument could be made. Put those cars up on the top floor. I mean, you have to have a clean environment for people to want to use them. They have to feel safe. They have to be clean. And yes, let the cars on the street turn over faster so you can get in and out. And then maybe some of the businesses more will come back, You actually brought up an interesting point that I haven't heard mentioned very often in this discussion, because, price increases, parking rate increase, changes in where you can park and when, those naturally get attention, and they should. But you mentioned might be more attractive to park in the garages if the garages themselves are more attractive, if I'm paraphrasing. Do you believe there's an issue with cleanliness? Yeah, over the years, they deteriorated. Yeah, I mean, let's face it, they smell. The cement needed to be fixed. Things needed to be painted. I mean, it's right there in plain sight. And it's a bargain when you come down, a little bit here and a little bit there. If you're parking, I mean, I don't know. If you buy a condo downtown and you have a car, you got to expect that you have to pay to put your car somewhere. I mean, no. Everybody else has to pay. Me, I can't afford that. Everybody else can afford it. You know how that works. It has to work that way. I mean, I remember going in. I'll be in the Boston sometimes doing some work, and because of the racks and ladders, you can't go into a garage. And I'll pull up to an outside parking lot, and I'll say to somebody, I need to run into a building for 2 hours, 3 hours. And it says plainly on the sign, $20 all day parking. And I'll say, hey, I need a spot for a couple of hours. And they'll say $35. And I'll say, it's $20 for the whole day. They're like, yeah, 35 if you want to park it. I mean, it's the way it is. To the people bitching about parking prices in Lowell, I worked in Government Center in the 90s. Yeah, Channel 7. It was $20-something an hour in the 90s. Yeah. It's, the garages have to pay for themselves. We can't subsidize the parking. And it's going to be interesting when the new private garage opens up at the courthouse to see what those rates are. Well, that's where I wanted to end, because there's a lot of folks saying, the city should get the hell out of the business. Yeah. You can't possibly make money. It's expensive, blah, blah, blah. Then everybody would really complain, because they'll be in for a reality check. Right, because they're going to see what those private garage rates are, and they're a lot higher than the city rates. Yep. And if you turn over every garage to private entities, then your residents might have legitimate gripes about not being able to afford it. And then we have no control over it. We can tell them all we want. You need to paint, you need to clean, you need this, but it's private entity. If you don't like it, don't shop there, don't park there, don't go there. That's an idea that has support, though, privatizing all the garages. Could you as a city councilor ever vote for that? You'd hurt a lot of people downtown. So I don't know. That wasn't a no. Well, it's not a no, but it's, I'd have to find out. I mean, as a councilor, I was going to a lot of the neighborhood meetings, and you meet a lot of good people, and you hear their concerns, and that would definitely hurt residents downtown if these parking lots went private. Parking garages, certainly would. Yeah. City Councilor John Leahy, as always, thank you for sitting down, chatting with me about the issues. You're always blunt, and you never shy away from saying things. It does. I could stay for another hour. I can't. So I can leave. You can stay. All right. You sit here and do your own show. Bring Danielle in. She's a better co-host than I am anyway. But thank you for joining us this morning. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to Joni and the kids and all of your loved ones. Yeah, thank you. And you're enjoying your family. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, they're all excited kids about good Sunday morning, so I'm looking forward to it. Thank you. And thank you to everyone out there as well for tuning in. Those of you who watch this live, we certainly appreciate that. Those of you who are watching it on your own time frame, as we like to say, news, information, entertainment, on your schedule, not ours here at Inside Lowell.
Appreciate you watching it. I hope you're watching Friday morning at 10 a.m. for our special live Festivus show, the airing of the grievances, the feats of strength, all of the insanity that comes whenever Mike Bacigalupo comes into our studios. Till then, everybody have yourselves a great rest of the day. Stay safe. And if this is the last time we chat before then, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all of you.